So based on the question I actually asked, you'd agree with me. There are some questions that there are no right answers, there are no wrong answers. So, and I asked, in a fancy restaurant, right? You have that very palatable dish on the table. Which one is the most important? Is it the chef? Is it the recipe? Is it the meal itself? Is it the bartender? And I heard some people saying it's the bartender that attended to them. So like everyone is right. So because at times you might actually visit a restaurant because of that fine lady who is serving you, or that handsome guy who's got courtesy serving you the dish. You could avoid a restaurant because the guy who's supposed to serve you the dish is being rude. The food is good, but the guy who's serving you the dish is rude, and you decide to completely avoid the restaurant. You'd agree with me, right? So in so doing, right? So we have a palatable dish. The first thing is, now we now start looking at what is very important to us. Is it a dish? Is it the food? Is it the, like, I could go somewhere and the person who served the food is being nasty, and I'm very particular about what I'm eating. So imagine that you're a Muslim and you don't eat pork, and you've gone to a very fancy restaurant. Everything looks so good, but what they are serving you is pork. Would that restaurant make sense to you? Let me see your response in the comment section. Would that restaurant make sense to you? So it wouldn't make sense to you, no matter how good it is. So when you go to the restaurant, you're looking at, is it allowed? Is it not allowed? So now let's take it back to the question I asked. You have a very good restaurant, right? And you saw I asked that in this scenario, you have, it's just all over social media. We see students who are actually graduating from school. On the day of their graduation, they are asking them, imagine someone who has gone to school 4 years as a BSc accounting, got BSc in accounting, and you are asked the difference between asset and liability, and you're saying, I don't know. Is just the same way that you would look when you have 4 years, 5 years experience, and you are being asked, what are the principles of testing? And you said, I don't know. You are good with automation. Oh, it's so flamboyant, you've written nice codes, but you don't know the principles of testing. You don't know why you should use equivalence partitioning, why you should use boundary value analysis, what is state transitioning, how to write a comprehensive test case document. You're as good as that person who has 4 years in BSc and does not know what debit and credit is. Am I making any sense yet? I want to see in the comment section. Am I making any sense yet? Or you want me to go down more? So I told you that for being beginners, right? What is very important to you is learn software testing fundamentals. These fundamentals, I could tell you that if you attend 100% of interview, one way or the other, even if you're a senior person, some of these questions will come. And these questions might not come in me asking you a direct question. What is the difference between verification and validation? What is a bug? What is failure? It's about me hearing. So I could interview you as a junior QA, and I could interview you as a senior QA with the same question, but I'm expecting different answers from you because your level of expertise, what you've seen, is different. A junior QA will be telling me the book meaning, the dictionary meaning of what is regression testing, what is retesting, and all of those. But a senior would be giving me, it's just going to be like a burger, right? It has different layers. That is how a senior QA is going to give me those responses. So it won't just tell me, oh, the difference between retesting and regression testing is the, you'll be giving me. And I will tell you for free that at least I've been in some interview rooms, and some of these things, some of these little things I look as little. Before you say you want to do Cypress, you want to do Playwright, you want to do any of these things, get your foundation right. Like, be solid on it. If you are not solid on your fundamentals, like, you would be there and you just make mockery of yourself. Because, so imagine you said you're a chartered accountant and you're asked what is credit, and you say, that one is basic now, I don't know it. You should be asking me, what do they want to ask you when your basics are wrong in the first place? A chartered accountant, for crying out loud. So have I been able to demystify these answers for you? So, and why did I tell you to say, okay, after you've learned your fundamentals, you should learn API. Now, that dish that you have on your table, right? You know, there are different people. If you've gone to a restaurant, there are different people who actually do what? Who participated in making that meal to be what it is. You start from the owner of the shop, the owner of the restaurant. You discuss about the manager, who's the brand person, who is making adverts for the restaurant. You talk of the chef, you talk of the bartender, you talk of the recipe. Somebody is actually getting those recipes. We are talking of the person cooking the dish, right? Somebody has this, you have these spices here and there. Then somebody formed it to become a recipe. And this recipe at every time, it's consistent, right? So, you know, when we were discussing that, you do software testing. Testing is in all of our lifestyle, but most of the time we actually do not know. That is why in most of, when I try to explain, I try to let you understand, like, relate it into your day-to-day activities. So if you go to, I want to use a very good place. If you go to KFC, you get their crunchy chicken. If you buy today, you buy tomorrow, you buy next tomorrow, you buy in 1 week time, you buy in 2 weeks time, you buy in 3 weeks time. It is consistent. It is the same thing. You know, when Nika was saying different quality assurance, quality control, this is where quality assurance, quality control actually comes in, right? You have consistency over time. You won't buy KFC today, tomorrow you go to KFC again, you start tasting like Burger King. You go next tomorrow, you start tasting like tasty fried chicken. You'll be like, what am I eating? So now that meal that you have the recipe. You have people in the kitchen, you have your kitchen staff who are not the chef. They are the one serving, giving the chef, oh, I need Maggi curry, I need this, I need that, right? He's making those calls. So look at that environment where all of this thing is happening as your API. That is the backend. It's happening in the kitchen. So the guy who is setting all of these things, look at that person like your DevOps guy. Who's doing what? Is ensuring that you have a space to actually do all of these things. When we bring in the manager, so all of these guys, see them like your software development team. I don't know if I'm communicating yet. So the API is what is happening in the back end, in that kitchen axis. Make some calls. The chat says, give me curry powder. You give the curry powder. Take that like your SQL query. Give that's a get. Oh no, I don't need this anymore. That's like your delete statements. Delete. So all of these things, like you have to live in it. You have to sink yourself in it. Most of the times, I necessarily do not need to read from a book. If I just read, okay, this is just, then I try to narrate it into a real world scenario. So in that way, I tend to understand, tend to like bury myself into it. So can we proceed into the class first for today? Olushola, have I answered you properly? Okay.
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay, so let's get started. So we are going to, so yesterday there were some you guys had a quiz where you guys spoke about different things, boundary value analysis and stuffs like that, right? So for today, just a minute. I want to try to do this. Okay, so for today, we are going to be discussing software testing techniques, software development, software testing lifecycle, software development lifecycle. Please, I might take some very fast pace to explain it, but please, there are some things that you might see that I skip, but I'm going to explain it in a very broader concept. So just pardon me. So let's get started. You see, I'm happy discussing this because it is actually very easy. So now let's discuss what is white box testing, right? So white box testing is also structural or structure-based testing techniques. So these focus on internal workings of the software. They are based on analyzing the architecture, the detailed design. So I'm going to, don't worry, be sure that I'm going to actually break it down. So unlike black box testing, which only checks the input, output without knowing what happens inside, white box testing techniques ensures that the logic, flow, and process within the code are thoroughly tested. So today, you are not a staff of Access Bank. You pick their software. Say, because I'm a software tester and I'm testing, we've given you an assignment. Go and test your banking app, look out for flaws and stuff. When you are coming back to us to say, okay, I've tested Access Bank mobile app. What kind of testing have you done? Is it a white box testing or a black box testing? I want to see in your comment section. You are not a staff of Access Bank, but we've asked you to go and test Access Bank transfer service, bills, payments, and you come back to us. So what have you done? Is it black box testing or white box testing?
Black box. Oh, sorry.
Okay. So I have somebody say it's white box. I have somebody say it's black box. So in 1 minute, show. In what? Okay. No, let me see the first person that said it's black box. Emmanuel Pesu. Why is it black box?
Yeah,
In 1 minute.
Basically, because you don't have the source code.
Okay. Okay. Adeshola. Okay, thank you. Adeshola, why is it white box?
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Is
Yes.
Adeshola
Okay,
okay?
Adeshola. This is Olushola.
Hello?
Yes, Adeshola. Adeshola Shukrat. Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, please.
All right. Thank you. That was a mix-up anyway, because the white box has to do with the internal structure about the code, but the correct answer is actually black box. You're just working on the external part of the program. You don't have knowledge about it.
Okay.
So the right answer is black box.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay. 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 So I just needed us to. So one thing I do is there's no wrong answers. Yeah. So except something that just so we need to just like understand together. So because you are not a staff, I said I actually put a clause. You are not a staff. So you do not know what and what they decided to do. So you don't have you don't have internal workings of that word. You don't have. And in the other side, you are a staff, you are a QA in that environment. You know what you and your team have agreed to do. Does it make sense? So that is why you have white box that, okay, you have insight into so for example, if I'm a staff of McDonald's, right, and I'm eating a particular dish, I could say, oh, this particular product was what was used to prepare this meal. So probably, you could actually eat shawarma and they all taste different because of the brand of what's it called? Brand of mayonnaise they've used. So sorry, I'm a foodie, so you'd see me talk about a lot about food, right? So because I have worked in McDonald's, I could specifically say that, oh, this brand was used to prepare this meal. So do you know that for most of these outlets, they don't change their brands just like that? Because immediately you change your brand, if probably today you are using Bama and tomorrow you start using Jago, there will be problem. It's definitely going to change taste. So because you have internal knowledge, so let us move on. So the two common types are statement testing and coverage. White, what's your question? Let's quickly get it before we proceed.
Okay, thanks you, Mr. Ridwan, for the lecture so far. So my question is, even as a staff, let me give you an instance of as a staff of a UBA, let me say like a marketer, say to say, or
Okay. Yeah, I get it. So a marketer who is not part of
exactly
the QA team.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So do you understand? So it's giving a wider concept to it that you might even be a staff, but because you don't belong to that product, you don't have the workings, you don't have the internal workings. You don't know what has been decided to be done. So now we are talking about statement testing and coverage, which verifies that every line of code is executed at least once. And you have decision testing that verifies that every possible outcome of a decision is either true or false. Some of these things permit me to read through. I'm going to explain them when, okay, let me quickly explain these bits. When we say statements testing, so should I explain it now or I should take it for a later? Explain it now, take it for later. Let me take it later. Don't worry, I'll explain them. So for experience-based testing, right, these techniques rely on the knowledge, the skills, past experience of the developers, the testers, and users to design, implement, and execute tests. They are frequently used in combination with both white box and black box test techniques to enhance coverage and effectiveness. So let me quickly talk about this. Me being a tester, I've tested in a fintech environment before. So this is why at times you see people say, I need someone who has experience. Because I've tested in a fintech solution, I've tested a transfer application before. I have the experience of what to test for. I know that, oh, when I'm transferring from A to B, B must get value. A must be debited before I can say my test is successful. Do you understand? So now, if you bring somebody who is a newbie, who does not have the experience, he just go ahead to say, okay, transfer successful. I see what? Success message, and I'm fine. I'm good to go. Do you get it? So, but in this case, I need to validate that money left A, it got to B. A got a debit alert. Possibly, let me also validate that the bank B was even notified. So these are experienced. That is why I say it's called experience-based techniques. We are relying on the knowledge, skills, and past experience of the developers, testers, and users to design and implement our tests. So because now probably want to quickly deploy an application in the next 1 month, the developers, the environment, the organization itself has goofed. They did not employ a QA at first. Now they want to just you to validate and give them a go ahead to move on. What you'll be bringing on board is the experience. Based on your past experience, you know things to check out for, things that have landed you in problem before, things that have landed other people in problem before. You start checking these things out and ensuring that those things are mitigated in your environment. Now we have what we call error guessing. Like it says, error guessing is an experience-based technique where testers use their knowledge. Do you understand? So do you see that they are actually together, right? So I'm using my past experience to actually test. So I've tested an application. If I should do transfer, I can use a minus times minus is what? Plus. So, and in a transfer service, your application is allowing you to do minus 1,000. When you do minus 1,000, the person sending the money does what? He gets a 1,000 naira addition into his own account, and the 1,000 naira also still goes to the customer. Chikena. So so some of this error guessing, you start checking that, okay, if I do not even impute any value, does it allow me go through? So you start error guessing. So it is based on your experience that you can actually error guess. You can't error guess in an environment that you don't even have idea of. So, okay, these are just examples of error guessing. Let's proceed from here. So, something, let me just quickly just broaden your knowledge of boundary. You see this thing, boundary value analysis is very important. It is very, very important. It took me years to understand, and as much as possible, I tried to break it down. I was in an interview last week, and I had a senior QA. She was like, truly, that this thing, actually, I do mix it up. But after the interview, we were able to discuss it about it. I thought, like, wow, thanks for actually breaking these things down. Boundary, like it sounds, boundary between A and B. You are testing from A You're testing from 1 to 100. That is your boundary. So when you are now checking the value, you are checking the value between 1 to 100, and you are doing an analysis on them, just like a layman. But coming down to testing, right? We know that my boundary that I'm testing for age 1 to 18. Anybody less than 18 years should not be able to watch this particular program. So my boundary is that anybody less than 18 should not be able to view a content. If you are 18 and above, you should be able to. So I will now be checking that this person trying to view this content is 17 years, 11 months. Do you understand? We are now checking what? Within the boundaries. And this person is just 18 today. Is 17 years, 11 months, 28 days, is not yet 18 years. Do we agree? Do we agree? So that I can proceed. Okay, Adishala said no. Okay, why no?
If I get your question very well, you said the person should be 18 years. But the
And
example
above.
you and above, the example you give it that the person is less than 18 years. So we
Is
shouldn't
17
make it.
years, 17 years, 11 months, 28 days, is not yet 18.
It shouldn't be allowed because it's not 18 yet.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, that those are boundaries. Those are boundaries you'll be checking out for. You are checking where the problem is most likely going to happen from. I've tested an application and I found out that this application was doing a round up to the nearest 100. I've never seen it before. And it was a financial solution. It was rounding up to the nearest 100. I was testing that these values are not correct. And they came to tell me, the program manager said, yes, that we agreed to round up to 100. How? Where? Do you understand? So when you are testing boundaries, these are things you'll be checking out for. So let's proceed. So now let's do exploratory testing. Exploratory testing is an experience-based testing approach where test design, test execution, and learning happen simultaneously. Unlike scripted testing, it requires minimal upfront planning, right? And focus on actively exploring the software to discover defects. The tester decides what to test next based on what they learn while testing. It is most useful when specifications are missing or are unclear. Time for testing is very limited. So just like I told you earlier, that you have to test because these people have goofed. They did not bring you as a software tester on board when they started. They're about to go live. They are now asking you to come and test. What you'll be doing at that point is an exploratory test. You'd just be doing gbas-gbos, validate things. So based on the fact that, oh, you're trying to test, you try to, at this point now, you're doing a transfer service. You're trying to validate a transfer. And I transferred 0 naira and I got a debit alert. Do you know that the next thing, look at here, we said the tester decide what to test next based on what they are learning while they are testing. I transferred a 0 naira and I got a debit alert. The 0 naira even got successful. It tells me that, and in the principles of testing, we said defects are what? They are clustered around together. This thing would open your mindset as a tester that, something is going on here. What's the difference between validation and verification? We'll talk about it. So it's going to tell us that something is going on in this transfer. So because we are not using a structured test, we are trying to explore, we are trying to learn. about the software, right? Then we have what we call a test charter. That's a short note describing the scope, the objectives, and approach that is going to guide our time box session. That's so basically you are testing and you have the scope of tests, your objectives, and the approach. So when you see what the test charter is, so it's just that document discussing this. So now there is a question. Let me quickly just what is the difference, right? The difference between, there's a particular word for the both of them, between verification and validation, right? So now one is discussing, are we building the product right? Verification, are we building the product right? And validation is saying, are we building the right product? That is not the difference. Validation, are we building the right product? That's just a simple thing. So we said we want to build a transfer service. So are we building this product right? So what does this mean? We are building a transfer service, transfer from bank A to bank B. And you are coming to see that, okay, is it transfer service these guys are building, or they are building chats notification? So that's validation, where we are are we building the right product? So validation is that you are trying to validate that, are these guys building chat service or transfer service? Are we actually building the right product? Are we building the product right? So we said transfer between bank A and bank B, not bank A within bank A. Where you are checking if you are transferring between two customers within the bank, that is verification that, okay, is this transfer happening between internal customers or between bank A and bank B? So, and now, for example, in Nigeria, where we have commercial banks, microfinance solutions, we have, so we are trying to validate that, okay, I do want transfer between our bank and a commercial bank. I do a transfer between one bank and a microfinance solution. So validating this is that, are we building the products the right way to ensure that, okay, for internal bank to bank, right? Within the bank, we are building that, we are ensuring that the transfer service is 0 naira. When we transfer to other banks, we are transferring, ensuring that 15 naira is being debited as stability from the customer's accounts. Or based on the bands, 10 naira, 25 naira, 15 naira. So we are validating that, are we building the product the right way? So now, are we building the right product? Instead of transfer, is it local transfer we are building? Or when you are transferring, we are transferring in dollars. So, but both of them are quite interwoven. So let's take much of our time. Let's proceed. So, now, when is exploratory testing approach adopted, right? When you have unclear requirements, like I mentioned earlier, you have limited time to test, and you have unplanned scenarios, right? That's mostly when you use exploratory tests. Then there's something called checklist-based testing. When we talk of checklist-based testing, right? Checklist-based testing is an experience-based testing technique where the testers design, implement, and execute tests using items from a checklist. So we know what a checklist is. So I'm validating that, okay, the first item is transfer from customer within the bank to another customer within the bank. I'm transferring from our bank to a commercial bank. I'm transferring from our bank to a microfinance solution. I'm transferring from our bank to a mobile money, a Momo account. Do you understand? So these are checklists. I have this checklist. So I'm now validating that, okay, I've transferred from our bank to our bank customers, successful. I transferred from our bank to commercial bank. I transferred from our bank to a microfinance, but I cannot transfer from our bank to another country. Do you understand? So I am using a checklist to say, okay, this is successful, this is not successful, this is successful, this is not successful. Do you understand? So that is how a checklist-based testing works. So such checklists are usually from past experience or defects because, they told us that when you transfer from our bank to commercial banks, it is not working. So we now try to break it down to say, okay, we want to ensure that for every time we are doing our regression, we test to another commercial bank, we test to a microfinance solution, right? So, and the knowledge of the user priorities, what matters most to us as an organization, and understanding from common software failures. So these are what builds up our checklists. So I think that's explanatory enough, right? So these are just examples of checklist-based testing. You verify that all your links are working. You check your login, check with valid credentials, invalid credentials. You ensure that error messages are displayed when you input invalid credentials, right? For an e-commerce website, you try to add items to the cart, you remove from the cart, you try to apply discount codes, you see that the discount is being applied. So these are just examples. So this part is where I really, really want us to. So if you are on your phones, please drop your phones. We are about getting really, 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 really serious. Let me see if there's any chat for me. Okay, no chat for me yet. Okay, so software development lifecycle. Said it's a structured process that software teams follow to design, develop, test, and deliver high-quality software. The software development lifecycle is a step-by-step framework that ensures software meets requirements, is delivered on time, and is cost effective. See, all of this English, don't mind the whole of the English. We are going to break it down. So, we mentioned that in the course of this course, you guys will be having a project, a capstone project. Now, I want to build a product. I want to build a mobile banking app. So this mobile banking app would allow you to log in. You must be a customer before you're able to log into the mobile app. We are not doing so now. These are some certain things you start trying to. Let me see if I can share a test, a blank page of a document. So when we are able to understand this properly, right, to move on to the other things I want to explain would make sense. So I would rather take time explaining this so that you guys would understand me properly. Is my screen visible?
Yes, please.
Yes. Yes.
Mobile banking app. This is what we want to build, right? So in this our mobile banking app, we need you to be an existing customer. And when we say, oh, new customers, it is out of scope. We are not letting them to onboard. We only want to use existing customers for now. So these customers will be able to transfer existing customer. Okay, let me see. Existing customers can enroll to the mobile banking. Now, they can view their account balance. Okay, log in for enrolled customers. I'm going to break some of these things down so that you can understand. We have view account balance. We want to be able to transfer within the bank, transfer to other banks out of scope. Transfer to other countries out of scope. Let's keep it this simple. And want to make sure we can log out. So this looks more like a checklist, right? So now, hi, Ridwan. I'm a product manager. So let me look at the names on this call so that everybody, you know your role in this project we're about to do. You would know your role in this project we're about to start. Okay, generous email, and let's keep it. So I have Tunde. Tunde, you be our Ridwan, product manager. Tunde will be our business analyst. Adeshola will be our QA. Let me look for somebody else. Sherifat would be our engineering manager. Faith would be DevOps. Okay, let's keep it simple here. Are you guys still seeing my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I'm the product manager. I own this product. Our product is what? A mobile banking app. So I invited Tunde, who is a business analyst. I invited Shola, who's our QA lead. I invited Sherifat, who is our engineering manager. I invited Faith, who is our DevOps person. There's some other people who could actually be in this conversation. So now in the practical world, good day, ladies and gentlemen. So our bank, we are actually trying to build a mobile banking app, right? This mobile banking app that we are trying to build. We want this mobile banking app to be launched in the next 2 weeks or in the next 1 month. However, for these projects, they said a project has a start date and an end date, right? We want our customers who are customers of the bank, we don't have a mobile banking app before now. We want these our customers who are already customers of the bank for them to be able to enroll to our mobile banking app so that they can have username and password. Okay. Tunde, being a business analyst, said, wait, so what happens to new customers? This is a very good idea. What happens to our customers out there that want to bank with us and they don't have an account with us, but they see that, with this mobile banking app, we can actually just open an account from the comfort of our house. Me being Ridwan, don't worry. For now, those are customers that have not enrolled. Let us keep them out. They are not part of our discussion here. Additionally, being the engineering QA lead, it's like, okay, she's taking a note to know what is in scope, what it has of scope. So we don't say, we want to log in, we want to create a login for our customers. So Sherifat, being the engineering manager, she's not asking, are we looking at, after building this mobile banking, are we looking at having an internet banking that is web-based? If you are going to add that as a web-based, are we looking at having the same user credentials to be able to log into the mobile banking and also log into the internet banking? Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, let's work in that direction so that by the time we want to open our internet banking, we won't need these customers to now start enrolling. Being the engineering manager, I start knowing what technology that I need to make my engineers do. Then, okay, I should be able to view account balance. Being engineering manager, because you are the one sitting on the Finacle, which is the core banking solution, you know how to use XML to get the account balance. So you start looking at, okay, that means we need permission in social places. You now start calling Faith, how do we get these Finacle guys to give us access so that I can use my XML to call? Do you know all of what we are doing currently is that we are having a discussion around what we are doing at this point in time. This film I'm actually acting is called requirements gathering. Are you sleeping? This room is dull. I'm not seeing activities. Are we sleeping? Are we together?
No, we're not sleeping.
So
we're together.
At this point, this thing looks like just a general, we are just having conversation. No, you are not having a conversation. You are actually doing software development. So I would keep this. Let me share that slide again. So we'll still come back to these documents that I started. We have, you see the first thing here is the planning. So in that planning, the next thing, analysis. So being the engineer, so while we are doing the planning, right? You see the engineering manager is already looking at, because it is mobile banking, we need this. Is already analyzing. The QA engineer is also doing what? Is also analyzing that, okay, this thing is in scope, this thing is out of scope. So who are the customers that are allowed to enroll? They are existing customers. Then we now start with our design. Our design is not designing the interface. That is not what we are talking about here. We are designing the architecture. We are designing the framework of what we are going to do. So I missed the user interface and UX designer. Let me add it. Who should I give this role? I'll give Gertrude the role. So by the time I'm sharing my screen back, I'm going to add Gertrude as our UI UX. So we have Gertrude as our UI UX designer. And it's like, okay, it's a mobile banking solution. Are we having this solution on Android and iOS? Okay, if it is iOS, are we planning to use their fingerprints, their face ID? Engineering manager is also thinking in that direction. You see, this communication, this meeting now is already doing what? Is already starting to trigger the caps we are wearing. We are wearing different caps in this conversation. So this conversation, it starts opening our mindsets. It starts opening our mindsets to each, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do this, we need to do that. So now we are going to proceed. So in that design, so this Gertrude, who's our UI UX designer, he starts doing some wireframes. So we get to the implementation. When we get to the implementation, we go to testing and integration, then we go to maintenance. But does this actually even make sense? If it makes sense or it doesn't make sense, give me some few minutes. We'll get to where it's going to start making sense. But look at this vividly. You could see this guy is in a circle. It's in a circle. But in the next few minutes, we'll break it down. Now, software development life cycle, the phases, where the first requirement. I would not talk more about all of this text in the slides. When you get the slides, go read it. That is why you see me trying to explain it like we are acting a movie, right? So the requirement gathering, this is where the team talks to the customer or users to understand what they want the software to do. So, the product manager now, we had mentioned that, okay, this is the solution we want to solve, right? And everybody's already asking questions. So a document is written to capture all of these needs. We have it designed based on the requirements. The technical team, the architect, and the leads plan on how the system will work. So you could see all of these questions. Are we going to allow fingerprints? Are we going to allow face ID? Who are the users? So based on these requirements, right? So they may also create diagrams. I mentioned things like wireframes, right? You could have flowcharts. So being an engineering manager, you start writing yes, no, if it fails, where does it fall to, and stuff like that, right? You have database designs. You bring in your database, your DevOps guy in collaboration with the database guys, right? Okay, what kind of database, what system architecture are we looking at, and stuff like that. Then we start the implementation where the developers write the actual code to build the software, and they follow coding standard and best practices. So the code is clean and easy to maintain. This includes fixing issues, adding new features, upgrading the system when the need arises. Testing. In testing, we check the software to make sure it works as expected, the right test cases, they run the test, report bugs, the deployment. All of this English would not really make sense if we don't break it down. Let's scatter the table. So the waterfall is also known as linear sequential model. So this is how software development lifecycle used to be. It follows a step-by-step sequence where the output of one phase becomes the input to the next phase. While I was in school, we did this software development lifecycle. We passed though, but I did not understand it.
Sorry,
But
please,
with
can you
time,
repeat that statement again? Another name for waterfall is linear sequential what?
model.
All right, thank you very
So
much.
it's in a linear form. So there's also what we call the V model. So there's waterfall, there's V model. These used to be. So now let me explain to you in real world scenario, not book meaning now. Real world scenario. Now, after all of this meeting has been, before this, all of this meeting will be done. So immediately I have this, being the program manager, I have this one or two ideas. I will write out a very big document. We call it a software requirement document. I work hand in hand with the business analyst. At this point, most likely we don't even bring the QA on board. The way it used to be QA, man, they will do their own data. So I have to document business analyst, engineering manager, the CIO. We paint this scenario, ideal scenario. We come up with a software requirement diagram. In this conversation, these requirements, in this meeting we now share these documents. Every one of you now start picking what belongs to you to do the system design. Okay, so the UI UX guys knows you've written out everything for this guy. All he does is he takes that document like a Bible, guiding him to go and do what? To go and design a user interface and user experience. So immediately he designs a wireframe. The next thing he's going to start doing is that he brings up a Figma design. He gives this Figma design to the developers. The developers will now start working based on that Figma design that he has given to them. When all of you are done with what you are doing, you now tell the tester, oh yeah, we have finished this product, oh yeah, go and test. I think this guy has, the development is supposed to happen before testing. This guy is not correct. The development is supposed to happen before the testing. So after every one of us have finished developing, we give it to the tester. We are going to test. When the tester tests, if he has issues, we return it back to the developers. The developer fix it, test if it's fine. We deploy to production. So I do this thing, there's also supposed to be a step before the maintenance, which is the deployment. The deployment before maintenance. So you are deployed to production, then you start maintaining. You now have your support team, your help desk team. When customers complain, they give this complaint back to the product owner, and product owner, oh, something is wrong. It calls the team, you guys fix this issue. It goes through that same model downward again. You deploy. When you deploy, you keep maintaining the product, right? So in V model, right? V model is a software development lifecycle that emphasizes on the relationship between each development activity corresponding to testing activity. So the process is shaped like a V, where the left side represents the verification, which is the planning, designing, and specifying, while the right side discusses about the validation, which talks about the testing. So for requirement gathering, after the requirement gathering, by the right side, you have the acceptance testing. We move down to the system analysis and system testing. When we go down to the software design, we do integration testing. When we go to the module design, we talk of unit testing, and the coding is at the bottom. So now, how does this thing actually like make sense? So you have the requirement gathering first. After the requirement gathering, you have the system analysis. We analyze the system. We then design the software. When we design the software, the next thing is we now start doing modules design. When we do the module design, we know which module, transfer module, login module, and just for this guy, right? Then we now start writing the codes. So after we are finished writing the code, you see that V going up. We now start talking of unit testing. That is, the developer is now testing at this point, ensuring that each modules. Are you guys with me? If you don't understand, I need to explain this place properly.
Sorry, Ridwan, please, can we see your slide as you are explaining to, please?
Am I not sharing?
At all.
Wow. Oops, I thought I was, because thank you for mentioning that. So let me take this out, and I want to zoom it properly. You should have mentioned where I was sharing. Can you see my V shape properly?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Sorry. So now, if you could see, this is a V shape. You could see some items forming to the right. Don't be deterred. Don't be afraid. Listen properly here. From our requirements design, right? Our requirements, we moved down. Okay, let me do this. I want to be very practical with this. I need to be very practical with this. Let me share Visual Studio. We have requirements gathering, right? We have requirement gathering. Are you guys seeing my screen? We have the system design.
Yes, please.
We have system design. But I need you to actually understand this thing very well. Architectural, modular. And we have coding, right? We are going to break this shortly. Break this down shortly. Okay. So the first set of things we do, we have that meeting we just finished having. That's our requirements design, requirement gathering. Then after this requirement gathering, we ask the UI UX guy, the engineering manager, to do system design. So we come up with a framework, a wire framework, a flowchart document, just giving us the skeletal structure. So this system design also now forms down to the architectural design, just the skeletal structure of what we want to do. Are we still together as at this point?
Yes, please.
Any other response? Are we still together? I don't want to lose you.
Yes, please.
Olushola, you have
Yeah.
your answer. Okay. So
Sorry, I
at this
wanted
point,
to
okay,
react that yes, we are together.
okay. So now, what do we mean by modular design? The modular design is that we are now breaking down into modules. We said we are building a mobile banking app. We now say, oh, we have our login module. We have our transaction module. We have onboarding module. So these are modular. You are now modularizing it. You are breaking down into smaller chunks. That's what you're doing at this point. So from here now, you now start. Abdul Samad, your hand is up.
Yeah, okay, so I don't know. I'm just kind of like mixing them up. Because okay, I'm thinking that okay, the system design, it's kind of like the journey map from maybe the starting point to the end point. And then the architectural design, I'm believing that is like the designer working on the maybe the low fidel or the high fidel design.
Yeah.
And then for the modular now, it's kind of like mixing up in my head with how you're breaking it out. Okay, the onboarding, because I'm thinking that okay, is that has actually been submitted during the architectural design.
So now, if we want to do this, everybody will not be working on these at the same time. It has to be broken down into chunks. That's why you are modularizing. Do you understand? You are modularizing the application. The end product is this guy. These are the user journeys, right? But you are now breaking them down that, okay, we have a module for login for enrolled customers. This is your onboarding module. When you've onboarded successfully, you now have login for these guys who have enrolled. For these guys who have enrolled, they can now do what? They can view their account balance. So you are modularizing it. You are breaking it down. You will see the translation of these modules in the next slide now. Don't worry. Can I proceed?
All right, sir. Thank you.
So from here now, we have our, we mentioned this the last time, unit testing. Testing fits. Who is doing this unit testing? If you recollect, who's supposed to do this unit testing?
Developer.
The developer.
All right.
Developer.
So what are they? So now you will now see what I was saying, that you are modularizing, you are breaking them down into chunks. Because now I know that I built this guy for onboarding. I'm going to do unit test on my onboarding flow. Absama, are you now understanding it? I'm going
Yes, sir.
to test the flow on my on my module, which is onboarding. So okay, let me do this. I'll call this onboarding. This guy is authentication. This guy is account balance. I don't want to view account history. I'll call this guy transfer. And this guy is also authentication. So we are doing what? We are unit testing what? The modules. What are our modules? Onboarding, authentication, account balance, transfer. Those are our 4 modules. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you understand now? So we are doing unit tests on the 4 modules. Are we still together? Or is somebody off the train? Don't leave me, or don't leave me, don't leave me, don't leave me. So the next one, we are going to be doing what? Integration testing. what are we integrating? You know, we already have an architectural design. What do we have in our architectural design? We have more of the flow charts. Sorry, the Figma design. The Figma design is telling us when you onboard, you click next, you do this, you go to the next page, you do this. After finishing your onboarding, you get a success message. After the success message, you get to the login page, you input your username, you input your password, right? You are now integrating, you are testing what? You are doing a test on your onboarding flow. You test your onboarding, as as an integration. You check that after you've onboarded, you're able to go to the authentication flow. After you've authenticated successfully, when you sign in successfully, you get to a dashboard where you're able to see your account balance. So what you are doing here is that you are checking the integration, because different people have built these things, right? And after here, right, we now have the system testing. So you have built you are now checking that that flow chart your engineering manager actually built. Yes, no, make decision and all of those things. You are now validating that the whole thing is working as expected. Then from here, we now have our acceptance testing. So because we have a software requirement document, so we are accepting this application based on the document that was given to us when we wanted to start this application. Is anybody lost? Okay, Sean, you have your answer.
Okay, thank you, Ridwan. My question particularly is talking about the architectural design now. So you mentioned that the engineering manager or the engineering team. So my question is for the architectural design, is it only limited for the to the engineering manager to design, or they are going to involve both the QA, the analyst, and able to contribute, or we leave everything to them to design and then they bring it for us to us?
So we are discussing different software development lifecycle. Don't worry. We'll get to that point you are actually asking. So a lot of times, right, for people who started their tech journey, let me say post COVID, a lot of us have seen the rise in a software development lifecycle model called Agile, Scrum, iterative model. But this is how it used to be before. So some organizations still do this. Some organizations still do this. So we are discussing different kinds of software development lifecycle. So it is until the unit testing has been done, it starts coming to the QA to test each modules. You test the log, you test the onboarding. So when you're now doing, you now test the whole system, that everything is working in sequence. Then after that, you now raise a meeting for a UAT meeting where you now do the acceptance testing. This is a software development lifecycle type called the V model. So without wasting much of our time, so I mentioned that some certain things I might not just read out from the book. I would want us to practicalize. So we are getting to those parts now. So in recent times, right, Agile is one of the most popular software development lifecycle used in software testing. right? Software development, unlike the waterfall, it is more flexible as the project is divided into small incremental builds called iteration. Each iteration is also known as sprints. It delivers new features or set of functions, right? So usually a sprint which lasts between 2 to 3 weeks. Ideally, it's a 3 weeks. Ideally, it's a 3 weeks. Sorry, it's a 2 weeks based on the what's it called? The agile, the Scrum book. It's 2 weeks for each sprint, right? So a sprint is carried out between 2 to 3 weeks, and testing is carried out within each of these sprints to ensure quality at every stage. Before each sprint, so let me skip all of this agile, we call them agile rituals, sprint rituals. So in software, in agile methodology, look at, you have the planning, you do the design, you develop, you test, you deploy, you review, you plan. So you keep doing what? You plan, you design, you develop, you test, you deploy. You know, I mentioned something about deployment. You deploy, you review. You plan, you design, you develop, you test, you deploy, you review. So you keep going. So when after you finish the review, it now moves to the launch. You launch it, then a new thing comes up. So you know, this guy in our document that I shared, I mentioned that we have some things out of scope. So because now we've given out our customers who are just customers within the bank today, they've been able to enroll on board successfully. They've been able to see the account balance, and they've been able to transfer just within the bank. Our next sprint now, because we have delivered this, the next thing we are now saying is that, okay, we want you to be able to transfer to other customers in other banks. Let's say, because for you to do transfer to other banks, right, you need some integration to happen with other banks. Probably you are going through NIFs, do the whitelisting and all of that. So while the sprint one is going, your sprint two, your engineering manager starts knowing what is in what we call our product backlog, that, okay, this is the next we want to do. So this next thing we want to do is I want to start transferring to other banks. We need connection with NIFs. NIFs needs to whitelist our service and all of that. So we'll discuss more about it, right? So we said, okay, let me round off on this software development lifecycle thing. So the question you asked, that at what point does the testers need to come in? So in Agile that most of us see today, the QA is brought in. You know, we mentioned something in the last class where we mentioned shift left testing, where we do what? We start our testing at the early phase. We started testing at the early phase. We bring the QA on board in the planning. While we are planning, we have brought the QA. The QA is already asking questions. It's already designing the test cases. He's already knowing what and what can go wrong. He already knows what environment is he testing. I'm testing just for Android. You know, we discussed in that same vein about test plan. That, okay, for our test plan, okay, for this test plan, we are discussing to know where we are testing, the number of people that is going to be testing, all of this. What kind of tests do we need to do? Performance tests, we need to do this. So the QA is involved at the early phase. Have I answered your question, or you still want to ask more so we can fit it before we go to software testing lifecycle?
Yes, you have. Thank you very much.
Okay. So now, because we in Agile, right? Because Agile is preaching that, don't worry. Okay, I'm sorry for non-Nigerians, right? Let me bring this to Nigerians. If you remember when OP started, they started with Oride, where they have a bike aiding service. Before you know it, they started selling food called O Food. Then as at then, their fintech thing was still staggering, it was still trying to stand. At some point, it got stabilized. Right. So that process of you having just your Oride, then you have O Food. Those are sprints. Those are you are delivering each product at different times. You are not trying to deliver. So because why do we actually preach agile? Why agile? What is agile? You know, in plain English text, being agile means you are very active, right? So because of that, your activeness, you are bringing software products in an agile way, in a smart way, in an aggressive manner, whereby you are giving us products in little chunks. At the end of the day, you want to build OP to what it is today. You could see all these their security features and everything. It did not come on board just at once. Before now, software development will be that you will ensure that all of these things are available before you will now launch out. But Agile so that if you wait, that time you are thinking, Moneypoint has done their own, Ampere has come out with their own. So rather than wait till this thing comes before everything is ready, give it out in small bits. I gave an example that you see some people say, why is my Quran app, my Bible app, why am I updating it? Is Jesus giving us new things, new discussion? Is the Quran being updated? No, it's not the content, it's about the user experience. So it could be that, okay, for a Quran app, probably you have two translators before. Now you added a third translator. You are going to chip what? You are going to chip in this new guy so that your users could now see 3 translators. In the Bible, it could be that, okay, you used to have just King James Version, or probably your Bible app is even just King James Version, right? You notice that, okay, some users, when they try to zoom, or probably the app used to be just read. You could just read the text. But now you have developed a feature that would allow the users to click to play. The play would now be reading the Bible verses into their hearing. At some point, you see that, okay, because people have adopted this thing, let me now start charging. I would now introduce a charging system that, okay, you could only listen to the Bible for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, you need to subscribe for a pro version. Do you understand? These are real world scenarios why you see that update that comes on your mobile app. It could be that, oh, the server we are using, we have, so most times, for an example, I do not like seeing app updates are not updating them. I like to update, right? Because at times there might be security issues and stuff like that. So do you understand? So these are reasons why you see your Quran app, your Bible apps updating. Even so, you see that WhatsApp keeps updating. They change their status platform. You know, before our status used to be in this format. Now it is like this. So all of these are before you cannot share your status. There was no status initially. Then we start having status. Now you can add music to your status. You can reply to somebody's status. So all of these things are iterations. They know the long-term plan of what they want to do, but they cannot achieve everything at once. So they start giving it to you in piecemeal. That is what agile methodology is talking about. So at this point, before we proceed, I would want to entertain questions. No, spiral is different. Agile is just the same thing as iterative model. Do you have any questions or I proceed? Okay, additional your question.
Yes, thank you very much for the class. But today, to me, seems to be somehow clumsy and cumbersome. So I'm trying to connect the dots together. When you're
Okay.
talking about, I think, the steps in the software development, and there was another slide before that, when you are breaking it into, we have the unit testing, the integration testing, and all this stuff. So I just want to narrow my own understanding to what you have said so far. Like you are having a house, I think that is the system itself. And in that house, you're having different departments like the kitchen, the toilet, the bedroom. Those are the units you're going to test on, right? Then the main architecture is how the design was. When an architecture will come and design, this is how we want the system to look like. Then maybe developer will now come in and start putting those structure in the right place. Okay, from the architect design, this is where the kitchen was placed. The kitchen has to come before the toilet have to come to in that format. So that's when we bring in the tester or developer in, because some of what I say, I'm sorry to say, they're just like flying off my head. So I'm trying to I like your method of teaching. When you bring it to the real life scenario, that is when I used to get it better. So that's I'm just trying to put in all of this, like when we're now building a product, the product is like the house. And when we say the user experience, somebody that wants to buy that house, what type of house am I buying? Is it a bungalow? Is it a two-story building? Is it a three-story building? Is that what you are trying to explain in the whole of all the cumbersome, buggish language?
So are you seeing the screen here?
Yes, I can see it very well.
Okay. So you could see on your left-hand side, you have the verification. And what did we say our verification is?
Requirement gathering.
No. You know, we discussed the difference between verification and validation in software testing. Are we building the right products? Are we building the products right?
Okay.
Right?
Yes, please.
Okay. So now we have